Hello, can you see my screen? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Now, can you see my screen? Medical legal autopsy is there in front of your screen and my voice. Okay, I will start. I will start. If you have any difficulty or any disturbances, unmute yourself and tell me accordingly. Okay, I will start now. Okay, so yesterday we have seen. आ रही है अभी आवाज? I can hear you all. Why my voice is not coming up to you? अभी बिल्कुल नहीं आ रही मेरी आवाज. हाँ, चांगला येतोय. अरे काय रे असं करता तुम्ही? Okay, I will start now. Any difficulty, please tell me immediately. Okay. Yesterday we have started with medical legal autopsy. Yesterday we have started with the topic medical legal autopsy or post-mortem examination. How the post-mortem examination is carried out. What are the objectives of post-mortem examination that you can see on the screen now. Uh, what are the objectives, why the post-mortem examination is done, what are the legal requirements for that, that is identification of the person, to identify the cause of the death, then to see for the time since death, then in case of newborn baby or infanticide, whether the baby was born alive or born dead. Then in case of mutilated skeletal remains, whether that skeleton is of human, then cause of the death and time since death. Requirement, we have seen all the requirements. It should be done by a registered medical practitioner. Then all the positive as well as negative findings should be recorded. Then information should be associated or assisted with records, sketches, photos and x-rays. Then precaution, there has to be authorization, the authorization is with dead body challan. So what is dead body challan? When any coroner, magistrate or police send the request to the written request to the. Hello. Ha, okay. So we have seen the precautions. Yesterday we have seen the precautions to perform the medical legal autopsy. To perform the medical legal autopsy, there has to be authorization. There has to be authorization, and authorization is given by coroner or investigating police officer or magistrate, whoever has done the inquest, or panchanama. If it is done by police, it is panchanama. So there is one term we have studied yesterday, dead body challan. So dead body challan is the requisition. It is the request letter along with the dead body given by the investigating police officer to the medical officer, requesting him to perform the post-mortem examinations. All the details like name, age, sex, religion, if known, the suspected cause of the death as has been found or suspected by the investigating police officer during panchanama, and purpose of autopsy, why you want to perform the post-mortem examination, then place or distance from where the body is brought, name of the accompanying person along with the body, and articles and clothing on the body. They all should be mentioned in detail on the dead body challan. Then a copy of inquest report or panchanama report should also be there along with the dead body. Now we have seen the process. We have seen yesterday the process of medical legal autopsy. uh, the identification of the dead body is very important to avoid autopsy on the wrong body. Then all the medical legal autopsies, in all medical legal postmortem examination where the identity of the dead person is not known, you should note down all the particulars of the identity, any injury mark, any birthmark, or any mole, like that. Okay, then you should the doctor who is performing the postmortem examination, as far as possible, should arrange a visit to the scene of crime where the actual incidence has occurred, particularly in case of homicide, in case of poisoning, because you can get those empty wrappers of the tablet or empty bottle of the poison. आवाज ब्रेक होतोय. Okay, then examination. While doing the actual examination, what care should be taken by the medical officer, that we have seen, that is the examination should be done immediately on the arrival of the body to the mortuary or to the center for postmortem. It should be done in the daylight. All the days, including public holidays, should be there for the doctor should be available there for performing the post-mortem examination. Then external examination like body temperature, post-mortem. We are going to study in detail about how the body temperature changes, what is post-mortem lucidity, and what is rigor mortis, and also for the external injuries. No unauthorized person should be allowed during the post-mortem examination. Then preservation of the viscera if the investigating police officer request, if there is suspicion of poisoning, if the doctor is not sure about the cause of the death, and in case of decomposed bodies. In these cases you can go for preservation of viscera, which can be later on chemically analyzed, and you can detect the actual cause of death. Then what are the articles are there on the body, like clothes, jewelry, as well as bullets. In case of firearm injury, you can also get the bullets from the body. They should be preserved properly and handed over to the police with seal and label. Now external examination, what now here, okay, we'll start from here today. External examination. So how will you examine the body from outside, before opening the skull, before opening the chest, before opening the abdomen, before doing the actual dissection, or what we call that, taking incisions and all, for internal examination, you should go for a thorough and careful external examination. So external examination is very important for identification. You should collect the data for identification. So data for identification in the form of age. You can have the approximate age of the dead body. Sex, you can detect if the body is not mutilated, if the body is not degenerated, you can easily detect the sex of the dead body. Then color, Of course, if the not much color changes or decomposition has not taken place, you can see the color fair, um, black, dark, like that. So you can have a good idea about the color. Then race, by clothes, by clothings, by hairstyle, and by so many things which are, that we'll see in detail in the personal identity, how the race of the person is to be decided. So you can decide the race also. And nature of the hair, how they have been arranged, whether the hair are short or long, how is their color, where they are white, or like Europeans they can be gray, or whether they are black, like that. So details of the hair should also be mentioned regarding their length and color. Then color of iris, तो आंखें काली है, भूरी है, like that. So color of the iris is also important for identification. And bony framework, how is the build of the person. Then height and weight of the body, that should also be recorded. Then examining the cause of the death. Still we are in the external examination. In external examination, how can you go for examining the cause of death? So condition of the clothes, how are they, whether they have been torn, whether there is any sign of, whether there is any sign of struggle, any sign of struggle, मारा मारी की कुछ निशानी है, कपड़े फटे हुए हैं, buttons missing है. So you can come to know from the condition or appearance of the clothes. Then cuts, whether there are fresh injuries on the body, like cuts, holes because of penetrating knife or penetrating bullet, or whether there are injuries of the burns, whether they are old or fresh burns. Blackening, that is discoloration. And odor in case of poisoning, or in case of burn injuries. In case of burn injuries and in case of poisoning, there will be so many discoloration of the skin. Then whether there is any staining on the cloth by poison, there can be staining on the cloth by poison. So if poison has been taken by the person, or it has been deliberately given by someone, there will be spoiled poison will be there on the body, on the clothes and all. That should be carefully seen, and for it should be examined chemically as well. Then there vomitus or feces, the you can say some amount of vomitus or feces, if there is present on the clothes, that should be collected, preserved, and sent for the chemical analysis. You can detect the poison present in it or not. Vomitus or feces, that should be collected and sent for chemical analysis. Then condition of natural orifices, whether there are any injuries, particularly genitalia. In case of female, if the sexual assault, if any sexual crime has been done before the death, you should see for careful examination of the vagina, whether there are any injuries, or see for the condition of the anus, whether anything has been introduced into the anus. There can be abrasions or scratches on the natural orifices. Then examination of the body surfaces, very careful examination of the skin, whether there is any poisonous substance, or whether there is any injuries, different injuries are present on the body surface. And the examination of the body surface should be done before and after washing the body, because when the body is brought to the postmortem, for postmortem, it is generally, first of all, it is washed thoroughly. So all these examination of the body surface should be done before and after washing, and accordingly it should be recorded. Then you can take the x-rays for suspected fracture. If there is a skull fracture or fracture anywhere in the upper limb or lower limb, it should be examined carefully. And if you suspect for any fracture, uh, you should go for x-ray, and it should be preserved because it will be required in the court procedure. Then neck and head for signs of violence. Neck, why neck? ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि उस आदमी को किसी ने तो गला दबा के मारा है और उसके बाद जला दिया, या दूसरा कोई तो सीन बनाने की कोशिश की. So if the neck of the victim has been compressed, if the neck has been compressed, उसके मार्क्स रहेंगे, या तो डोरी से, रस्सी से वगैरह नेक स्ट्रैंगुलेट किया रहेगा, उसका गला दबाया होगा, तो रस्सी के निशान होंगे, उंगली के निशान होंगे. So those what we call it bruises will be there on the neck. They should be seen very carefully. Examination of the neck and head for signs of violence. Then hands for cuts on fingers and abrasions on knuckles. Hands for cuts, हाथ पे, पाम पे उसके cuts के अगर injury रहेंगे, so they will be suggestive of that person was attacked by someone with the knife or sword, and to protect himself he tried to ग्रास्प दैट sword और नाइफ, उसने वो बचा, खुद को बचाने के लिए उसने वो चाकू या तलवार का ब्लेड उसने अपने हाथों में पकड़ा था, जिस वजह से उसके हाथ पे वो कट्स आ गए। सो हैंड्स फॉर कट्स ऑन द फिंगर्स एंड एब्रेजन्स ऑन द नकल्स। नकल्स मीन्स मेटाकार्पोफैरिंजियल जॉइंट्स, उंगली का और अपना पाम का जो पहला जॉइंट रहता है इंटरफैरिंजियल के पहले वाला, मेटाकार्पोफैरिंजियल जॉइंट, वहाँ भी हो सकता है। These all are called a defense injuries. Will try to protect himself. If someone attack that person will try to protect himself by holding that sharp object like knife or sword, and that's why we'll get the injuries on the fingers, and also the abrasions on the knuckles. Will try to protect his head, so the injury will be on his knuckles. On the what we call it as metacarpophalangeal joint. They are commonly called as knuckles. Then see for the nails, see carefully for the nails. तो वो खुद को बचाने के लिए वो जो भी उसे मारने की कोशिश कर रहा है उसको स्क्रैच स्क्रैच करेगा, उसको स्क्रैच करेगा, तो वो सामने वाले आदमी के स्किन वगैरह जो है उसके नेल में आ जाएगी। सो टैग्स ऑफ द इपिथेलियम, टैग्स ऑफ द इपिथेलियम, ब्लड और इवन डस्ट that will be trapped in the nails of the victim, that should be examined very carefully because that will help to identify the assailant. Then examination of the eyes, careful examination of the eyes, condition of the eyes, and when possible and when required you should go for photographs or sketches. And another very important thing that we will have to do or we will have to perform during postmortem examination is to estimate time since death, मतलब मरकर कितना टाइम हुआ है उसको, that will be known by body temperature. You will have good idea about time since death by body temperature. So what is the rate of drop of body temperature, that we'll see when we'll see the signs of death, immediate signs, early signs and late signs. In body temperature, the after the death the body temperature will drop gradually, and depending upon the drop in the body temperature you can have good idea about time since death. Then rigor mortis. Rigor mortis, again, when the rigor mortis begin, for how much time it remains, and after how much time it passes off. You should know of it. We are going to study again in the topic signs of death, how the rigor mortis appears, what is the time required for full development of the rigor mortis, fully developed rigor mortis, for how much time it remains, and after that period it will pass off again and the muscles will again go into relaxation. So rigor mortis is stiffening and shortening of the muscles. All the muscle, each and every muscle undergoes rigor mortis. Then post-mortem lividity. Post-mortem lividity is the staining. It is the staining or discoloration of the skin. It is particularly seen on those parts of the body on which the body is lying. Means if the patient is lying, the dead body is lying in supine position. If the dead body is supine position, all the blood will gravitate because the blood is not circulating now. The person is dead, so all the blood will gravitate on the dependent parts. Dependent means the parts which are on the lower side. वो सब बॉडी के पार्ट जिसके ऊपर वो बॉडी रेस्ट हुई है ग्राउंड पे. सो इन सुपाइन पोजीशन बैक, द पर्सन विल बी, द डेड बॉडी विल बी lying on the back, so all the blood will gravitate on the back, and that's why the blood will get deposited on the lower part or dependent parts of the body, and there will be discoloration of the skin. So extent, how much it has been extended, what is the color of the postmortem lividity, whether it is fixed or not, that again we will see in signs of death. These are early signs of death, right? Body temperature, rigor mortis, and postmortem lividity, that we will see in detail later on. So by body temperature, drop in the body temperature, by appearance of the rigor mortis and appearance of the postmortem lividity regarding its extent, color and fixation, whether the postmortem lividity is fixed or not, you can come to know the time since death. And another late sign after death is putrefaction. Putrefaction is decomposition. After a certain period the body will start decomposing or putrefaction, and it will give you good idea about time since death. So these are the external examination. These are the external examination. And internal examination, when the chest is opened, you will have to see for you will have to open the rib cage. I have not mentioned here in the notes. So this is the external examination, and the internal examination you will have to open the chest. You will have to see for heart. You will have to see for lung. What is the appearance of the lung? Whether there is frothing, whether there is bleeding, or frothy secretions, or bloody froth is there. If it is a carbon monoxide poisoning, or if it is asphyxiant poison, Accordingly, the changes will take place in the respiratory tract or in the bronchial tree, that you will have to mention in detail. Then opening the stomach for any remnant of the unabsorbed poison. The person has consumed or swallowed some poison, so that poison will be left, unabsorbed poison will be left in the stomach, also in the intestine, that you will have to see. Then liver, because whatever we swallow, whatever we eat, it is ultimately carried via portal circulation to liver. So liver should also be examined very carefully. Then heart, in the chest you can go for heart, whether the patient had got heart attack, whether the person died by heart attack by or by any other cause. You have to see each and every organ carefully, or whether there is any foreign matter like bullet or anything that has been left in the body. So that is the internal examination. I have not mentioned here, I think that slide is missing. Okay, so external examination for identification and examination of the cause of the death, and third important is time seized death. Examination of cause of death and time seized death. All these things will come under external examination, and the internal examination will be important for detecting cause of the death, how the person is dead. Okay, so this is about post-mortem examination or medical legal autopsy. Now we'll see one more topic. I hope everyone has understood. Okay, now we'll see next topic, that is personal identity. Personal identity. Why we need personal identity? Personal identity, it is generally asked as a 10-mark question. Personal identity, it is asked as a 10-mark question. So we will see in detail. The personal identity is the identification of a person or a dead body. So doctor, medical legally, when you can see the screen, you can see, all of you can see the screen. Any disturbances now? Hello, please reply someone. Can you hear me? Okay, okay, okay. Okay, personal identity. It is commonly asked as a 10-mark question. Question number 4. There are 4 questions from forensic medicine. There are 4 questions from forensic medicine. All of them are for 10 marks. So personal identity can be asked as a 10-mark question. So personal identity, medico-legally, personal identity is required. It is required in two ways or in two different conditions. One, just we have seen during the post-mortem examination, that is identification of a dead body, where the doctor will be will play important role in identifying the person, as well as identification of a living person. ऐसे भी हो सकता है किसी को तो पुलिस पकड़ के लेके आई है तुम्हारे हॉस्पिटल में, गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में, और वहाँ उस पर्सन का आइडेंटिटी करना है, हाउ टू आइडेंटिफाई दैट पर्सन. सो identification of a person or identification of a dead body. So in both the conditions, this personal identity will play very important role. And how a doctor can define the identity of any person. That identity can be complete or partial. Complete means including everything, uska religion, उस पर्सन का रेस क्या है, रिलीजन क्या है, सेक्स क्या है, एवरीथिंग, ईच एंड एवरीथिंग, ये आदमी ऐसा ऐसा है, इसका नाम ये है, दैट इज द कंप्लीट आइडेंटिटी. एंड इन सम केसेस देयर कैन बी ओनली पार्शियल आइडेंटिटी. उससे सिर्फ रेस पता चलेगा, एज पता चलेगा, सेक्स पता चलेगा, बाकी कुछ नहीं, नाम पता नहीं है, कहाँ का है, क्या वो कुछ पता नहीं चलेगा. सो ओनली यू विल कम टू नो द रेस, एज, सेक्स एंड स्टैचर, उसका बॉडी बिल्ड कैसा है. So either complete identity of the person or partial identity of the person. Now, a doctor is concerned mainly with the identity of a dead body. Medical man is concerned with the identity of a dead body. Very commonly, just we have seen in the medical legal autopsy or post-mortem examination, doctor is importantly concerned with the identification of a dead body. So when it will be required in case of fire, तो कहीं तो बिल्डिंग में, थिएटर में या कहीं भी आग लगी है और बहुत सारे लोग जल के मर चुके हैं, तो यू विल हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई द पर्सन. In postmortem examination, the identification of the person will be very important. Where bodies have been badly burnt. Where the bodies have been badly burnt, and it is very difficult to identify the person. It is very difficult to identify the person because of complete charring. बुरी तरह से जल चुकी है बॉडी. देन एक्सप्लोजन मतलब बॉडी के कोई तो बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट हुआ है, बॉडी के बहुत बुरी तरह से टुकड़े हुए हैं, इधर उधर गिरे हुए हैं. The body has been badly injured where the identification of the person is not possible. And also in case of travel accident मतलब प्लेन, ट्रेन या बस का एक्सीडेंट हो जाता है जहाँ अलग अलग गाँव के अलग अलग एरिया के लोग वहाँ रहते हैं, so it will be very difficult for identification of the person. Then unknown body on the road, field, railway, water, रोड पे, खेत में, रेलवे ट्रैक पे या पानी में कोई भी ऐसी अननोन बॉडी मिल जाती है, तो when it is sent for the post-mortem examination, it is very difficult for doctor to identify that person. So this identification is also uh, now is it better? Hello. So medical man, doctor, now is it better than previous? So doctor is mainly concerned with the identification of a dead body in case of fire where the bodies have been badly burnt, in case of explosion where again the body has been badly torn, and in case of travel accidents, where so many people are traveling at a time from different areas, from different localities, and it will be very difficult to identify the person. Then unknown body on the road, field, railway track, in the water, if any unknown body is recovered from these sites and send such a body for post-mortem examination, the doctor will have to be very careful and have to be very precise regarding the personal identity of that dead body. So in case of unknown body on the road, field, railway or water, first of all we will have to give the identity of the person. And decomposed and mutilated bodies, in case of decomposed and mutilated bodies where the bodies have been recovered from after long period, मतलब कई महीनों बाद वो बॉडी अगर मिलती है तो हार्डली स्केलेटल ही मिला है, ओनली स्केलेटल रिमेन्स आर देयर, or only few body parts have been found which have been badly decomposed and mutilated, so it will be very difficult to decide the identity of the person. Then examination of a person for medical legal purpose after examination of a person for medical legal purpose after consent in writing. So it can happen, just we have seen in case of dead bodies, and in case of living person, while mentioning or while going for the identity of a living person for medical legal purpose, the consent should be taken in writing. तो किसी आदमी का आइडेंटिटी के लिए अगर वो हॉस्पिटल में लाया गया है, तो आइडेंटिटी के लिए तुम्हें जो भी टेस्ट करने हैं उसके लिए you will have to take the consent in writing. उसकी permission के बिना you cannot perform any test for identity. So you have to take the consent in writing. Then examination of accused can be carried out by doctor at the request of police even without consent. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि कोई सस्पेक्टेड है, एक्यूज मीन्स कोई सस्पेक्टेड आदमी है, उसने कुछ तो क्राइम किया है एंड वी वांट द identity of that person. Police is requesting to do the identity or test for the identity. Here you can go forward without the consent of that person. So examination of accused can be carried out by the doctor. If the request has been done by the police, it can be done even without consent. At least two important marks of identification should be noted, and they can be in the form of mole. Mole, if you have mentioned any mole on the cheek or mole on the neck or mole on the back, anywhere on the body, how the mole should be defined? So when you are mentioning the mole, how that mole should be defined? Uh, that is, its particular location. The particulars of the mole, like its location, where that mole is situated, on the cheek, on the neck, on the back, on the leg, right, left, whatever. That exact location of the mole should be mentioned. Then size in millimeters or centimeters, whatever the size should be precise. Its color, whether it is faint color or dark black colored, gray colored, its color should also be mentioned. Then whether it is raised or flat, so whether it is on the skin level or there is some elevation, that detail should also be given, whether that mole is raised or flat, whether it is hairy or non hairy. ऐसे भी हो सकता है कि मोल के ऊपर कुछ hair growth है, so whether that mole is hairy or non hairy. And another important thing, whether it is fixed or moving, whether it is fixed to the skin or moving with pedicle like growth. So whether it is fixed or moving, that should also be mentioned. Now, whenever you will have to investigate for identity of a person, that identity of the person should be carried out under four headings: race, religion, sex and age. Race, religion, sex and age. Under these four headings, you will have to go for investigation to decide the identity of the person. So you'll have to go for general development. How is the general development of the body, is height, build and all, whether there is any congenital feature, congenital marks. Then acquired peculiarities like tattoo mark, or you can go for injuries, signs of injury, maybe incised or burn injury, contractures or fibrotic contractures, like that. So general development of the person, congenital features if present, congenital feature like mole and all, and acquired peculiarities means which the person has acquired during his lifetime, like injury, the signs or marks of the injury or tattoo marks, like that. The miscellaneous data that we'll see further, and obliteration of identity. There can be certain factors which will obliterate the identity, which will make a doctor to decide the identity of that person, that we'll see. So in personal identity, we have seen the four headings: race, religion, sex and age. How will you come to know the race of the person? How will you come to know the religion of the person, sex and age? So first, while deciding the personal identity, you should first identify the race. Race will be required in case of unclaimed dead body. मतलब कहीं तो भी dead body मिली है, उसके कोई relative नहीं मिल रहे हैं, कोई कुछ मिल नहीं रहा है उस body को लेके. So how will you decide the race? So race will be required in case of unclaimed dead bodies, and in case of accidents of plane, railway, or in case of any sea, like sheep and all, if it has been damaged or if it has been sunk, so many dead bodies have been found, so many persons have died in that accident, like air, rail or sea. You should know from which country that person is, from which race that person is. So by the clothes, how will you come to know? By the clothes, you know how the Indians wear the dress. Indians generally go for sari. They generally, or I will say Maharashtrian, their typical way of wearing the sari. Then if it is a Punjabi, there will be Punjabi dress. And if it is a Western, if the woman or man or male or female dead body has been found with characteristic wear clothes on its body, you will come to know whether that person is from India, whether that person is from Pakistan, whether that person is from Western countries, depending upon the clothing, simply by the clothing on the body. Then how the complexion will help? How the complexion will help you to decide the race, color of the skin. Color, Europeans are, they are very fair, and here in Asian countries they are slightly brownish in color, like Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Sri Lankan and all, they are darker. So this complexion will also decide the will give you some idea about the identity, about the race. And it will be difficult in decomposed body, of course. In case of decomposed body, no color, no complexion will be left. That's why it will be difficult to identify the race of the person just by the complexion in case of decomposed bodies. Then hair, the arrangement of the hair, arrangement of the hair, like color, just I told you, in case of Europeans the hair will be gray. In case of Asian, this part of the world where we are living, the hair are generally black. So color of the hair will give you idea about the race. Length, length again, long hair again. Now this is not the always helpful, because length varies, because nowadays because of the fashion and different hairstyles, the length may not help you much to decide the uh, race. Then appearance, how the hair look, how is their arrangement, where they are straight, where they are curly. If the eyes are, if the hair are curly, they may be because of they may be from Negroes. They may be Negroes. Then eyes, color of the iris. Color of the iris. Again, Europeans, they are generally having घारे डोळे माहिती, घारे डोळे असतात साधारण युरोपियन लोकांचे, आपल्याकडे ब्लॅकिश कलरची असते आयरिस. द लिप्स, निग्रोज दे आर थिक अँड इलेव्हेटेड. निग्रोजची लिप्स कशी असतात, बाहेरच्या बाजूला आणि एकदम जाड असतात. युरोपियन थिन लिप्स, इंडियन्स अगेन थिन लिप्स. इन केस ऑफ निग्रोज दे आर थिक. So like this, clothes, just by appearance of the clothes, the way the clothes are there on the body, clothes, complexion, hair, eyes and lips will help you to decide race of the person. Once you come to know the race of the person, now your aim will be to decide religion. Your aim will be to decide the religion, from which religion that person is. So Hindu males, they are generally not circumcised. Hindu males are not circumcised. Sacred threads are there in the body, around the neck. गळ्याभोवती त्यांच्या काहीतरी मण्यांची माळ, किंवा तुम्ही पाहता ते तुळशीची माळ असते, आपले माळकरी वारकरी जे असतात, which do not eat non-veg and all, that malkari and all. So there is sacred thread around the neck. They are Hindus. Then necklace of the wooden beads, just I told you, त्याचे वारीला जाणारे जे असतात ते माळकरी म्हणतो आपण त्यांना, वारकरी, त्यांच्या गळ्यामध्ये लाकडी तुळशीच्या लाकडापासून बनवलेली ती लाकडी मण्यांची माळ असते. दॅट इज नेकलेस of the wooden beads, suggestive of the person is Hindu. And religious mark on the forehead. If there is any religious mark on the forehead, it is generally in case of Hindus, because those Christians and Mohammedans, they do not have any religious mark on the forehead. Then Mohammedan males are generally circumcised. If the person is circumcised, you can suspect that the person is Mohammedan. Then corns and callosities on lateral aspect of knees and feet. Why these corns and callosities on lateral aspect of knees and feet? Because the Mohammedans are regularly daily doing their namaz, and because of their particular position of sitting during the namaz, it causes the pressure. It causes the pressure on the lateral side of the knees and feet. That's why their lateral aspect or lateral side of knees and feet is continuously pressed, and because of that pressure and weight of the body during their sitting position for namaz, it becomes hard. It becomes hard and black colored. And it will be suggestive of that it has been caused because of the continuous sitting position for that namaz, which causes that corns and callosities on lateral aspect of the knees and feet. Then these are the differences. It can vary. It can vary, but there are some differences in the males, whether that body is of a Hindu male or a Mohammedan male. Then females. Sari. Hindu female generally wears sari, and Mohammedan female generally wear trouser. Then there is vermilion on the forehead. Vermilion on the forehead in case of Hindu female, and in case of Mohammedan, no tattoo. It has been said that Mohammedans generally do not allow or they do not perform any type of tattooing on their body. Then nose ring in the lateral allow of the nose, nose ring on one side of the nose, and in case of Mohammedan females it is nose ring in the septum. I don't know how much it is followed nowadays, because nowadays Mohammedan girls and women, they are also piercing their nose on the lateral wall only and never on the septum of the nose. Then earring in case of Hindu female, earring holes on the helix, there are very few. म्हणजे कानामध्ये फक्त एकच खालच्या बाजूला फक्त एक, शक्यतो एक किंवा दोन होल्स असतात फक्त. बट इन केस ऑफ Mohammedan female there can be several openings on the helix for earring. म्हणजे त्यांचे कान जास्त ठिकाणी टोचलेले असतात ते वेगवेगळे ऑर्नामेंट्स घालण्यासाठी. And silver toe ornaments, jodvi, in married woman, in married Hindu woman generally wears the jodvi in the next toe to the great toe, the toe next to the great toe, त्याच्यामध्ये ते जोडवं घातलेलं असतं, which is present in Hindu female. And tattooing is present in Hindu females and not in females. These are some of the differences where you can identify whether that dead body of a woman is of a Hindu or from the Mohammedan. Now it can vary depending upon the fashion, styles and all, but these are some of the major differences. Then third important, you have come to know the race, from which country the person is. You have come to know the race. Then you have come to know the religion. Now most important thing is you will have to decide the sex. You will have to decide the sex. Deciding the sex in a living person, it is quite easy. It is quite easy. So there are some you can say groups of the evidences, groups of the features which have been given, which will help you for the determine determining the sex of the person. So most certain evidences, to decide the sex will be primary sex organs like ovaries and testes. The presence of ovaries and testes, you can know it by simply by ultrasonography or by clinical examination for testes, and ultrasonography for ovaries, or even the CT scan will give you good idea about the confirmation about sex of that particular person. So ovaries, presence of ovaries or testes will give you the clear cut evidence that the that person is male or female. So most certain evidences, that is appearance of the menstruation and appearance of seminal ejaculation after puberty, which is the most certain evidence. And before puberty, if you are not sure about the sex before puberty, you can go for nuclear sexing or chromosomal study, that we will see further. Then second is highly probable evidence. The presence of breast, hair distribution on the body, muscle development, and subcutaneous fat distribution of the subcutaneous, because subcutaneous fat is more in case of female as compared to male. And vagina, presence of vagina. These are highly probable evidence. You can have uh, assumption, or you can say that this is a female. So these are the things which will be highly probable evidences, like presence of breast, hair distribution on the body, so there will be no beard, no mustache, muscle development, uh, subcutaneous fat distribution, and presence of vagina will have highly probability that this is a female. Then in case of male, absent breast tissue, hair distribution, that is beard, mustache and all, hair distribution on the body, and physical development like muscle development of the muscle, which is more in case of male, and presence of the penis. All these are the suggestive of that person is a male. And presumptive matlab, you can have some idea.